Well, good day, everybody. It's Dr. A back in the garden, and I can hardly wait to share some stories from the garden. Because a garden is not just a bunch of plants. A garden is history, it's what you're doing today, it's beauty. But don't I tell you what, there are so many cool stories from the garden. One of the movements in the plant world these days, and in fact for the last 10 years, has been the native plant movement. And hand in hand with native plants is a far greater appreciation of pollinators in our garden. Well, one of the plants that we seem to see more of all the time in nurseries, landscapes, and gardens is a plant that we call Monarda, its common name being Bee Balm. Well, with a name like Bee Balm, you would think that it must be useful for something. This word BALM must mean a balm for bees or something. So the more I looked into this plant, the more I was fascinated with its history. I don't really see a lot of bees and butterflies buzzing around the plants of bee balm. In fact, if you look at a flower, it's very complex. It's kind of difficult for butterflies in particular, and certainly for other insects, to be pollinating that plant. I mean, it does happen, but I don't see dozens and dozens of pollinators around bee balm, but I see enough. But it turns out this is not a balm for bees. It turns out that the use of a resin derived from the leaves of this plant may be used for healing and for soothing bee stings. The balm therefore, is not used for bees, but for humans as a result of their encounters with bees, or I suppose wasps or hornets. While the flowers may not attract too many bees, they certainly are a magnet for hummingbirds. Monarda enjoys a number of other common names, and the two most familiar are Oswego tea and bergamot. Oswego tea refers to the fact that Native Americans living along the Oswego River in New York made a medicinal brew from this plant. And it turned out that, tea from India, which was one of the British colonies, of course, was a mainstay in colonial America. But then, of course, the crazy British started taxing it through acts of parliament, such as the Stamp Act and the Townshend Acts in the 1760s. Well, we know what happened as a result of those. People boycotted British tea, culminating in the infamous Boston Tea Party of 1773. Because of the lack of tea imported from Britain, Oswego tea came into wide use as a substitute. It really isn't all that tasty. Certainly give it a try. You can take the leaves of Oswego tea or bee balm and you can steep them in hot water and away you go. But that's what it's called, Oswego tea. And never think that the Boston Tea Party has been forgotten. The name bergamot, Bergamot, is derived from the fragrance of the leaves. Remember that Monarda in your garden is a wonderful and quite beautiful plant that flowers, but also the foliage is very fragrant. And the fragrance is said to be similar to a citrus called bergamot orange, which is Citrus bergamia, and it is a source of bergamot oil. That oil, believe it or not, is used to flavor Earl Grey teas, marmalades, and perfumes. So when you look at Monarda in your garden, think of it as a wonderful native plant. Think of it as a beautiful flowering plant, but think of the stories that you can tell. A balm for bee bites. Tea to substitute for the tea that the British used to bring in. And of course, a fabulous fragrant oil used to perfume all sorts of products. Monarda is more than just a plant. By the way, most of the bee balm sold today is scarlet bee balm. Monarda didyma is its botanical name. And a good deal of breeding has resulted in a diversity of flower colors. They're not just kind of red or lilac anymore. They're handsome, they're popular, but they can be kind of aggressive in the garden. And they're also somewhat susceptible to powdery mildew. So get the newer varieties. They are more mildew resistant, and many of them are less bug-like. Plant in full sun, they're certainly cold hardy all the way down to USDA Zone 3. Enjoy your Monarda, and I'll see you down the garden path. I hope you have enjoyed today's story as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. Thank you for listening. For more information and more stories, go to my website, www.alanarmitage.net. If you go to the bookstore, you will see one of my most popular books, Naked Ladies and Forget-Me-Nots, How Plants Get Their Common Names. And another wonderfully popular book is Legends in the Garden. Who in the world is Nellie Stevens? These and other books on the website I think you will enjoy, and I hope you have a chance to take a look at them. Once again, thank you for listening, and I look forward to sharing another story with you next week.